Hello, everyone. Time for another live Q&A. Before we get into some of the Q&A in the chat section, I got four things I want to go over real fast. First, we are still waiting for the solar wind enhancements from both the coronal hole stream and the coronal mass ejection that was released about 2 days ago from the M-class solar flare, sunspots on the northern hemisphere directly facing Earth. We will, of course, be covering those in the morning shows over the next couple of days when those CMEs and coronal hole stream enhancements arrive. Second, still getting a ton of questions asking, Ben, why don't you go on Tim Pool's show? Why don't you go on Joe Rogan? Why don't you get on with Jimmy Corsetti from Bright Insight? And I'd like to remind you that it's not up to me. I would be happy to go on wherever we're invited. We get invited to do a lot of different interviews, and we do a lot of different interviews, about one or two every week to 10 days. So it is what it is. Next up on the list, there is a relentless scammer in the comment section. Guys, I do not have WhatsApp. I will not ask you to contact me on WhatsApp. There's a person who is using our company logo. They're saying they're an admin of Suspicious Observers. They are not. That is a complete scam type thing. Please, please do not give them any information or contact them on WhatsApp. Again, do not have that whatsoever. Last but not least, I'm still getting a lot of emails asking if there are still spots open at Observer Ranch, if there are still investment spots open at Observer Ranch, traditional equity investment, want to be my business partner sort of thing. And yes, there are. Link to those things is down below. And if you're one of those people who wants to be involved at Observer Ranch, email me at observatoryproject.com. Again, that email is down below as well. So I see a lot of folks are joining in the comment section here. Hello, everybody. I already see people asking, Ben, are you going to get on Tim Pool? Are you going to get... It's not up to me. I don't know what else to say. I always appreciate everyone's patience at this time of year, by the way. The journals completely shut down. All of NASA's news websites shut down. ESA, basically everywhere that gives us the information that we usually use to come to you guys and bring cool news stories, they pretty much all shut down in between Christmas and New Year's, and sometimes for the first couple of days of the new year as well. Not a bad time to go back and review some of the playlists, by the way. They are down below the video as well, linked in the description box. So check those out. Alamosa County, Colorado, is that a geographically safe location for the solar micronova? I'm going to have to say yes. And by the way, thank you, Gregory. I see the questions starting to come in. Do like Alamosa County, like Alamosa in general, maybe not downtown Alamosa, but if you can be rural, we're up here at the top of the pyramid geographically here in the United States, provided that you are far enough away from people and you have a way to survive the cold in case the sun takes out power several years before the big event, micronova and magnetic pole shift. Highly favor Colorado, most parts of it too, anyway. Maybe not everywhere, same as New Valley of the Sun, but Alamosa County would be what I call New Valley of the Sun adjacent, so to speak. Anyway. Oh, the fifth world coming and trying to troll live stream. Good luck with that, buddy. Thank you, Andre. I like to think my voice is unique, as with most people on the planet, but hey, is what it is. Oh, look at this. We got a bunch of people trying to troll. Oh, we must do something right. Thank you so much. That's fun. Greg says I'm a modern day Rick Sanchez. I don't exactly know what that means. Does anybody know what that means? Considering you paid $2 to say it, I'm going to assume it's a compliment, so thank you. Anyway. Just Nana, putting questions in all caps won't make it that much easier to see, not with how fast everything goes in this comment section. Not to mention that if everybody does that, I'm not going to see anything because everybody will just be doing everything in all caps. Matthew Garland, when is the solar micronova supposed to hit? First of all, watch the playlist. Watch the playlist. But the answer is late 2030s to 2040s when the zenith of this is all supposed to go down. Of course, I wouldn't exactly think you could just sit around waiting for that moment to come. But yeah, there's, of course, a whole lot that the elites are going to be throwing at us. No, I don't think the last 3 years is all they have up their sleeve. And then, of course, there's the sun, which could take out power at any given time. Don't forget, we just had the half cycle uptick on the sun. I'm hoping things quiet down for most of January, but sometime in February or March, we should get the 5.9 month cycle uptick. And so there's that as well. Somebody's asking, Ben, if you sun gaze, how often do you do it? Every chance I get. Usually try to do it around sunrise or sunset so I don't hurt my eyes, and it works just the same. Someone's asking me if I have chickens. No, but I'm going to have chickens at Observer Ranch. Highly recommend that one. Patrick asks, is our star solid or gas plasma as taught? Since it ejects material off the surface, that tells me it's a solid. I don't know if I would say it's a solid, but it certainly is condensed matter with a plasma atmosphere. You can find a great amount of information on that on the Sky Scholar YouTube channel, one of the very few I actually recommend. Yeah. Sky Scholar, condensed matter on the sun. And I think in general, helioseismology pretty much points to that as well. So is pole shift estimate of 823 correct? I don't know what that means, but if you're talking about a date, the answer is definitely no. That's a good one. Will Greta Thunberg save our climate, Ben? Yeah, obviously. Obviously. Ben, what's going to happen January 5th? I have no idea. Absolutely nothing. I can't tell you how many times people are like, there's a claim something is going to happen on this date. Guess what? I've seen a million of those. Guess how many have been right? 0. Absolutely none. Although the last couple of years, January 6th has proven to be somewhat interesting on several different fronts, hasn't it? Anyway. Yep. This is really hard to read. That makes it easier. Hey, Ben, greetings from Montana. Happy New Year to you. Thank you, Tony. Wait, is that Tony Brango? Whether it is or it isn't, hello, and thank you very much. Do you remember the Galactic Federation of Light fiasco? I remember several Galactic Federation of Light fiascos, including like 8 different times they were supposed to come save us from the elites, and it didn't happen. Not holding my breath for that. Beaufort Gyre update. Is there any? Not that I've heard, and I do check every single week. I'm not sure if they gave up or whatever. Laureen Brown, that is a heck of a little emoji right there. I like it. Thank you very much. Is there anything one can do to protect themselves from the induction during the solar micronova if they have metal in their bodies? It's a good question. I don't know for sure, but I know that the better health you have and the better mental health you have, the better chance you're going to be. That goes for your diet. That goes for positive thinking. Pretty much all the different ways you can be healthy. I don't know if that says Audio Geek or Audio Geek, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. Coming in from the Netherlands. Ben, you should do more often some documentaries about our sun in more greater detail. I don't know. I've done some good ones in the past, and solar physics hasn't really changed a whole lot. But have you made an estimate for the shift at its current movement? Don't know exactly what that means. The magnetic poles are currently moving, but the crust isn't moving yet. That won't happen until it's unlocked by the great solar flash and the electrochemical equilibrium creating the plasticity at the low velocity zone is destroyed, allowing the plates to act more like plywood on a lake. Frank asks, if the world doesn't stop spinning when the flip happens, will it change the way you view the encroaching water over the land? No, because the way I view the encroaching water has nothing to do with anything other than accounting for the evidence that is there. There's no other way to get the alternating tropical polar in terms of fossils in the Arctic. There's no way to get several of the other things unless the world does what we say it's going to do, in which case the water is going to do what we say it's going to do. Again, it's not based on just some fun math and a model. It's based on trying to explain the actual evidence. Nimrax asks, any update on current magnetic pole positions? Wondering if we've seen any acceleration since the end of 2022. You mean like yesterday? So look, if there was any fantastic movement, GPS wouldn't work. They'd be grounding planes all over the place. Things are pretty much on point with where they're supposed to be, according to the World Magnetic Model. If you haven't been to magneticreversal.org, yeah, I haven't updated it with any of the new news, but all the links there still work, and those can tell you exactly where the pole is right now. If it goes a little faster than it should, they'll do another out-of-cycle update like they did in 2019. Hello, Roxanne. Thank you very much. Diana, thank you, Ben, for all you're doing. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you very much, kindly. What are your thoughts on strategically setting up communities after the flash? My thoughts are I'm doing that. It's called Observer Ranch. There's a reason why so many people want to be a part of it. Don't blame them. A lot of awesome people there already, to be honest. What was that magnetic shift link? Magneticreversal.org. Again, I haven't updated it with all the latest news, but factually, everything is there. The links all still work. Yeah, most of the key foundational information is there on that page. No, I don't plan to keep updating it because nobody really went there to check much out. But if you've never been there, it's not a terrible site to go check out. If you are here all the time and you know all the basics, you're not going to learn anything new there, but it is what it is. Lots of Happy New Year's, I see. Thank you for that positivity. We should try to spread more positivity here in 2023. Will a Faraday cage keep us safe? Against a blast from the sun that takes out global power, maybe. Against the solar micronova, I don't think so. Big B, is it flat? No. Hi, Stormy. Yes, you made it onto one of the live chats. Nice to see you. I also saw your previous comments about how you lamented not making the last ones. You're here now. Somebody asked, what happens once this starts? It has already started. Watch the playlist. Best topping on pizza, onions. Then again, I'm biased. I'm that dude who can just take a bite out of a raw onion, so maybe you shouldn't ask me. Probably the most important catastrophe question we could have right now, right? Tamara, do I think the elites will survive in their dumbs? No. I have talked about this several times. It's very possible a deep underground base could survive here or there, but in general, they are going to be absolutely rocked. Most of them are going to act as their tombs. And something tells me that the real elite, the ones whose names we don't know, ones we don't get to hear about, they're not going that deep underground. Thank you, Laura. Laura DeWolf. I like the hippo and the hippo clapping. Fantastic. Stormy, I'll tell you what, that's a good way to have your comments stick out. I've seen a couple people say they didn't get a notification. Don't know what to say about that for something like a live stream. If you ever don't get a notification for the morning show, I would just presume I put the morning show out and Google didn't send you a notification. It's usually a good presumption that I have shown up, especially if the sun is working and the earth is still spinning. It's generally a good presumption to make that I showed up that day. Question, are the future doomsday maps accurate in my opinion? Well, considering the fact that no two are exactly the same, I would say that no, most are inaccurate. So most of them have at least one or two worthwhile things to them. Ones that are the center of the United States completely underwater. Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably right. What are the most pertinent analogies for the upcoming flash? Solar micronova. It's the best one I've got. Any news on the unexplained, on the UFO that appeared to be diving at the sun? They claimed that was a piece of dust. I don't know about that, but we certainly do expect there to be a whole heck of a lot of dust in the system right now. All right, question here. Will the underlying structure of the mantle and core plumes cause the crust to drag, skew, or cause other damage as the crust crosses them? Yes, some crust is going to rise, others is going to fall. There's going to be magma breakthroughs, severe volcanic activity. Yeah, severe activity of the mantle on the crust there. Trauma release exercise, easy to learn and helps your vagus nerve before, during, and after care. Yeah, I do recommend everybody heal their traumas and root out the insecurities and other negative behaviors that they have caused to become part of your being and your life. Probably a good one. Catcher says most important medical supply to keep is oxygen? Question mark. Maybe, I don't know. This event never killed everybody all before, and so I'd like to think that the air is going to be somewhat breathable, and oxygen is quite explosive. I've been homesteading for almost 30 years and want to encourage people to learn and practice skills like growing fruits, vegetables, and meat butchering. I have no arguments there. Thank you, Carolyn. I saw one in there that asked, why is the sun white? I have a video called Who Remembers the Yellow Sun? The lens through which we look at the sun is changing. Earth's magnetic field, the ionosphere, the top of the atmosphere. That's why the sun no longer looks yellow. It looks more white. Trust me, this is better than what the sun's going to look like when the galactic magnetic reversal shuts down its photoluminescence and solar wind and stuff starts accumulating up there. We'll be begging for the days of a white sun. What causes the earth facing quiet? I don't know if I have time to explain that one right now. I have a couple of videos on it. I only have crazy ideas for that one that even I think are crazy, but they do match the data. Just don't know if they're valid in any way, shape, or form. When was the last crustal tilt? 12,000 years ago. Watch the playlist. Dimitri asks, hello, Ben, Northeast Ohio at 1,100 feet, about 30 miles south of Lake Erie. Your thoughts on solar micronova survival? Maybe. I do think that the Atlantic is going to break through the Appalachians. If you're only 30 miles south of Lake Erie, probably in a fairly populated area. I can't sit here and tell you, no, you're completely screwed, but there's definitely places I would rather be than Ohio. Face the sky. Did you see the plant and star system lineup that happened last night? We presume she means planet. And no, I didn't. But I promise you, if it was really planets, they are the ones from this solar system and they're supposed to be there. Saw some kind of question about South Dakota. There are places to be, but in South Dakota, you really gotta make sure that you can handle the cold if the sun takes out power years before the flip. Imagine going through this cold wave we just had and you don't have power. Yeah, I know it's not going to kill everybody, but that would have killed tens of millions of people. People got very, very desperate. When exactly is the first flood happening? March, April 2023. Maverick Star. DJ Schnecker. We have a video called 40 Degree Nonsense. Go watch it. Maverick Star, or should I say Gene, is, for lack of a better word, a con artist. This is like the 8th or 9th time he has said we are weeks to months away in the last decade. He's never been correct. And I have heard several people discuss him actually being brought up on fraud charges across the pond about 10 years ago. Pole shift hits 40 degrees in around 6 months. Matrix Body Mechanics TV. No, it does not. That is incorrect information. Everything coming out of that Mavstar channel is BS. All of it. For those of you who really know his stuff, go watch that video of mine called 40 Degree Nonsense. It is nonsense. And if you ever wonder why his channel is reloaded, it's because he did this so many times with his previous channel that he had to shut it down and reload himself. Nobody just reloads their old channel. No fear here. Keep up the good work. Come on, folks. Give a little to make a lot. Thank you, Gregory. I appreciate that. Where are you, Bryce? Bryce says, much love and light from Boundless Acrylics. I like it, and I like the colored hearts. Mention Kraus. Yeah, not looking so good in Bama. Go ahead and start walking. I'm just kidding. Don't pick up and start walking. But in general, no. Bama scares me. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but the person asking about Lake Mungo, why things at the foreshore weren't washed away by oceanic given Australia's low altitude. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that during previous events you could walk from New Zealand to Australia. Just because something is by a coastline now doesn't mean it was by a coastline before. Somebody's asking, what about Florida? Whew. One of my least favorite places to be in this. Absolutely. Anything along the Gulf or along the East Coast is in big trouble. And frankly, everything along the Pacific's in trouble, but for a different reason. So the arc discharge is going to hit the Pacific. If Taupo, New Zealand doesn't go off, would it be safe there? Maybe there still should be some pretty fantastic tsunamis. Hopefully the land rises back up. That'd be nice. Southern Homestead says, oh my God, people do your homework. You think the recent cold snaps are a result of the ionospheric heating allowing the polar vortex a path to flow south? No, absolutely not. Let me say this about ionospheric heaters, HAARP specifically. When something is a secret for 20, 25 years, and then in the span of 90 days, we get books coming out, a TV show on the History Channel, actor/politician Jesse Ventura handing you an enemy on a silver platter, and so-called insiders risking their lives to bring you information, and yet nothing ever happens to them. That's called a limited hangout. They do that to trick you, to throw you off base, and to make you sound crazy to anybody who's willing to listen to you. HAARP was a cataclysmic failure in terms of weather modification. The best they ever pulled was about a 0.004 stalling of a pressure cell. And then once it unstalled, it caught right back up to where it was supposed to be. Right on, Dimitri. Matrix, What happens when it hits 40 degrees? Do you think it will accelerate from that point? No. Go watch the video I just told you to watch. Stop asking questions like that here. It's a long, long, long way away from 40 degrees. A long way. Thank you from I Love Jesus Forever. You are much appreciated. And I still love that emoji, which I saw for the first time. I don't know, are we calling those emojis or like GIFs? I don't know. What are we going to call those? But I like that one. I like that one a lot. Somebody's asking about Minnesota. Again, think about the cold with no power. Other than that, if you can handle it, hope you're not in one of the big cities in Minnesota. What about tornadoes? Will they increase or Texas earthquakes? Yes to both. Although it's not like come this summer, there's going to be 100 earthquakes every single day. It's a progression. And I think a lot of the earthquakes in Texas are either due to fracking or Jeff Bezos building out his bug out facility there, considering where they are located as of late. What do I think about Northeast Idaho? Christopher, why is the arc discharging there? If by there you mean the Pacific, my answer is this. Go watch the playlist. Sorry, but seriously, go watch the playlist. Anna E., not sure if you meant to put a question in there, but thank you very much. You are greatly appreciated. Joe Pa, yeah, I know of a little place where there's land available for rent as well. Thank you, Jill. West Texas, question mark. I don't know what that means. Wow, Green, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I am used to seeing questions come along with something like that, but thank you very much. What about North Georgia? No. Scares me. West Texas, question mark. I don't know what the question is there. Just West Texas, question mark. Lake Tahoe, question mark. I wonder how many of you guys would have your questions answered if you did something like, I don't know, watching the playlist. Do I know where the land will rise and fall? No, but I have some pretty good guesses on some of the areas. Like the East African Rift should be falling. The center of the United States should be falling. Here's another question about the Ozarks, which I seem to get every single time I do a live stream. The problem with the Ozarks is that's where the wave is coming. It's coming right at the Ozarks and the New Madrid Fault. Probably going to shake the center of the country to oblivion. Liquefaction is going to be fantastic. And as I just mentioned, I do think the center of the country is going to go like that. Was the pandemic a cover-up? Yup. They want us distracted in all ways possible. Thank you, Michelle. Greatly appreciate it. I noticed you had another earthquake in Humboldt, California this morning. Was that a 5.4 or did they downgrade that one? Dude, like there's no amount of money you could give me to move to California right now. Blue Smoke asks, Southern Cross end up 8 in the sky above Brazil? I don't know exactly. I think Brazil is going to be pretty darn close to the South Pole when this is all said and done. And I don't exactly understand what you're asking me in that question. Southern Cross maybe end up in the sky. Maybe you hit 8 instead of the I there. In the sky above Brazil. I'd have to look at the star chart, but maybe if what I expect to happen to Brazil happens, you're going to have bigger things to worry about than what stars are in the sky. Buck Moss says food, fuel, ammo, and plan. Keep up the great work. I appreciate it, and I agree. Planning is exceptionally important. The absolute worst time to figure out what to do in a disaster is when the disaster strikes. If you can even run practice. Do it. So you're not like a deer caught in the headlights. Put slow in chat mode, please. Maybe I'll figure out how to do that at some point. Z-Jar, cut that out. Ask the question once. Ben, I wish a great year for you, family. Hope to be on my way to New Mexico in a day or two. Maybe make Wyoming. That'd be nice, Sandy. Would love to see you out there. Thank you, Bobby. Tactile abyss. I like that. That's a cute little chipmunk. How will the western slope compare to the front range? I don't know. I'm hoping that the earthquakes and volcanoes from the West Coast don't hit the western slope too much. I also have no way to guarantee that. Is what it is. After the flip, will Oklahoma, West Texas, southern New Mexico be inside the southern polar region? No. I've tried screenshotting the globe in your videos, and it looks like we will be as far south as southern Australia. I don't think we're that far south. No. Take Greenland on a globe and pull it to the equator. Look on the other side, and the part of Antarctica currently south of Australia should be there. And the new poles should be Bay of Bengal and somewhere in South America. SDO, HMI, and AI has been down since December 28th. Have you heard of the reason why? No, but I have noticed that the SDO website has been going down every single time there's a major solar uptick. As you may or may not have noticed in the morning news, I'm using HelioViewer, which gets it right from the source. And so it being down hasn't really affected our sun watching here, but it's very annoying. And I've noticed that Soho has not been very reliable when the sun is out bursting either, which is aggravating. Stephen Smith asks, what will happen to Australia? It depends on whether or not you've seen the Earth Disaster playlist. Will Europe rise or fall? I don't know. It's a good question, though. For your sake, I hope rise. Sandy Hardy, our magnetics are changing. I'm sure you mean magnetism. That's why the aurora borealis lights are coming down lower and changing colors. Agreed. Yes. And will gravity still exist at the zenith of the excursion? I would imagine so. No, and so's older than my car. Mine too. I don't know, Jasper. Why haven't they hit the like button yet? Is Missouri a good place to be? No, watch the playlist. Watch the playlist. Watch the playlist. Well, I'm waiting for another super chat. I want to say there's this new trend in questions coming in via the contact form at suspiciousobservers.org. And Thomas Clemens, you are wrong. Incorrect. Apparently, people have gotten the whole idea like, oh, Ben doesn't like answering the same questions over and over and over and over again. So there's this new thing. It's a common thing. Ben, I watch all your videos, or I've seen all your videos, and I know this question hasn't been asked. And do I even need to finish this sentence? What comes next is a question that has been asked and answered several times, literally all of them. The Earth Disaster playlist is linked right below the video there. I see a lot of you knew I didn't need to finish that sentence. Are you planning on moving out of the States? No. Where people looking that's easy to move to other than Mexico? Yes, I'm in the United States. I am going to the new Valley of the Sun at Observer Ranch. And those of you who are like, Ben, aren't you nervous telling everyone? No, you ain't going anywhere when this happens. Haven't you watched any disaster movies? You're not getting on a highway and driving somewhere. What, in catastrophic weather, you're going to walk 500 miles to my front door? We got guns. Good luck with that. Thanks, Ben. When are you just too old for all of this? If I'll be over 70, will it be worth trying to survive? Heck yes, it'll be worth trying to survive, Stephanie. If you're lucky enough to be here for the Cosmic Super Bowl, there's a reason. Give it everything you got. And I mean everything you got. Happy New Year, Southeast British Columbia. I'm assuming that that's what that means. Close to Idaho? Yes. West of the west of Canadian Rockies, far from the Pacific, raised land, sparse around. I don't. I've had to a number of people about that area. It's not bad. Again, just make sure that you've got your shelter from the storm, so to speak, preferably something underground, and that you've got your food stocks and other things like that, in case the sun takes out power long before. Levon asks, how far should I live away from the Gulf Coast in Texas, or at what level? As far away as humanly possible. I don't see much good for Texas. Not terrible weather for the time being, but I mean, picture the Gulf of Mexico getting thrown northward to the point where it's going to make it to Canada and spill into the Great Lakes. And then use your brain from there. Diana asks, is Arizona a safe place to live? Provided you're not going to get bit by the I don't have water bug. Yeah, if you can get water or you can store a lot of water, I guess Arizona is going to be okay, unless you live in downtown Phoenix, in which case get out of there. Desire itself is movement. I like that name. They just say thank you, and I thank them as well. Mickey asked, do I play guitar? What kind of guitar do I have? I used to play guitar. I had several acoustic guitars, and my dad, once I got good enough, my dad used to let me play his Fender Stratocaster, which was signed by Greg Allman. Did the solar micronova start at the onset of the Quaternary, when the sudden ice age cycle started? Maybe. I mean, I wish I could go back and tell you for sure, but that's something that's gone through my head a lot. It's a huge question why it used to be a 40,000 year cycle, and then all of a sudden, like that, it turned into a 100,000 year ice age cycle. That appears to be when the 12,000 year cycle started as well, even though the Dansgaard, Oeschger, and Heinrich events do appear to go all the way back to the Jurassic and the Cretaceous. So a lot of open questions with that one. Genuine Optimist says, thank you. Mailed you a unified field theory with a model of light explained with an epistemology that makes sense. Be looking out for it. Levon says, then where is the best place in the United States to live? I hate the cold. Well, unfortunately, the best place in the United States to live for this event gets quite cold in the winter. It's called the New Valley of the Sun. And most of it gets fairly cold in wintertime. It goes from the Palmer Ridge in Colorado along the Eastern Range south through Colorado Springs, past Trinidad, past Los Alamos, past Albuquerque, down into the Sierra Diablos where Jeff Bezos is building his bug out facility, and into Mexico. Life's Tough says, new channel. So where do you recommend moving? Copy, paste, repeat. You talk too fast. You staying in the USA? Yes, even though the West is falling and East is rising. That's not what I said. I said the center of the country is falling. How about this reset? Yeah, I like my chances. I like my chances. Thank you, Just a Guy. Christine says, aren't you worried about being in a blue state until this happens? No, and here's why. Because the West is still the West. And those in Colorado who live in a red county know that blue Denver didn't really mess with us a whole lot. And if they didn't mess with us during COVID, they're not messing with us in any other kind of way. There are tons of places out west where even it doesn't matter what the state is, it's what is your county. Remember that one, by the way. That one's legit. If you had a time machine, when would you visit? Oh, about 30 years from now is when I would visit. And then I would get back here as soon as possible so I could make sure that I told you guys everything you needed to know. By the way, I'm aware of what Graham Hancock answered that question, and I just wanted to. I'll re-mention Graham Hancock is the only person in the general field who not only hasn't talked to me, I've talked to literally everybody else, but he's been fairly rude when he's not ignoring me. cap that off with the fact that he's wrong about the last disaster and how it happened and why it happened. And I don't have much else to say. What do I think about the Swiss Alps? I try not to. Noah says, hey, Ben, I live in Louisville, Kentucky. Smoky Mountains and Mammoth Cave is not too far. We also have a mega cavern. The Ohio River makes me nervous. Any idea on major river movements? Not on where they are. I imagine that's going to be different at every different point in the river. But just try to get high in elevation, brother, and I would be prepared to float away if you have to. I'm not going to say this guy's name. Thank you, Ben and team, for all the work, and Happy New Year. The Apollo moon missions were nothing more than NASA researching the last event. Yeah. Same with China's most recent mission up there. Hello again, Levon. So where's the warmest place in the new Valley of the Sun? I really need specifics. The Sierra Diablo Mountains or Mexico? Move there at your own risk. Just a guy says, any thoughts on hydroplate theory versus plate tectonic theory? Parts of both are wrong. Parts of both are correct. One's going to seem a lot more correct than the other once the crust gets unlocked from the mantle. That's for sure. Hello, Felon Filming 5. Yes, looking forward to our interview tomorrow. Remember, folks, heirloom seeds, and consider the soil type and region on what you can grow. Canning will be invaluable, although it will be even more invaluable if you can pull off glass containers with rubber gaskets, just to reduce the electric arc potential even more. Hey, Ben, thank you for first of all, for sharing your talent. I find it hard sometimes to understand everything. I'm in Germany and looking to go to 700 meters elevation in southeastern Austria. Going by your mapping, would you recommend? That's a maybe. I'm hoping that the Mediterranean is going to leave you alone. The main problem with most of Europe is there's so many people. So many people. Capacitance, or whatever your name is. Graham Hancock doesn't answer the evidence. If he starts answering the evidence, maybe you'll have a good point to make. But you can't just ignore over half the evidence because you've spent your life plugging one theory. You have to actually evolve and take new science and new facts into account and throw your ego in the trash and admit you were wrong. And then not treat people like me like a complete jerk. Off Graham's nuts, bro. Celestial Wolf, does the sun have an effect on evolution? I'm going to go ahead with a yes on that one, both via necessity and via cosmic rays. How about Norway? Very, very cold. Can you live where you're living in Norway for several years without power and handle the winters? If so, and you're not too close to any of the big cities there, maybe. Maybe. Yes, add shungite into paint. It could be helpful too, but I can think of better things to add shungite into, like a bath. Born Traveler. Hope you don't get blocked when ish gets real. Living life like there's not long left. Hopefully not too much so, because we could have several years, 2 decades. Don't forget, I say late 2030s to 2040s. And if it's late 2040s, we've got more than 20 years left. Your job still matters. Your kid's schooling still matters. The people you love in your life still matter. John, you are welcome for the info, and you have a great new year. I really like this live stream stuff, by the way. Happy New Year, Ben from Canadian Stacker. Thanks for the hard love. Yeah, sometimes it's got to be. But thank you. Much appreciated. Aquarium fun. I don't actually see a question in there, but those are nice little symbols you're putting on your comments. What happened to the? I don't know what happened to a video I made several years ago. I presume it's still there. Thank you, Killzot. Appreciate it. John Doe asked about Eric Dollard. Yes and no. He didn't pick the most effective way of creating an earthquake warning system, especially when any earthquake or even a lightning strike is going to destroy it, and there's nothing to stop it from interference from human technology. Thank you, Rose Biss. Oh, hello again, Levon. You're really getting on it today, aren't you? Oh, thank goodness I don't have to move next week. Chances are no, but of course, the caveat to all of this is if the sun takes out power as Earth's magnetic field is weakening, let's say that happens next week, it doesn't matter if we've got 25 years to the micronova and pole shift. The moment the sun takes out power, your prepping is over. Your moving is over. And that's the wild card in all of this. It's unfortunate. Hello, Rebecca. Good to see you. Happy New Year to you as well. Always like seeing you, Rebecca. Ooh, I just saw GSD Alpha. What's up, buddy? Still coming to San Diego? Yeah, whenever we can figure out the Blitz tour. What do you think about the region north of the Alps, southern Germany, Switzerland, Austria? Same thing. If you're far away from people and you think you can stock enough food and supplies and you can handle the winters with no power, so maybe. Best of luck. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Susan. And a rose back to you. What happened to Billy's lab videos? Some are still on his YouTube channels. The other is a lot of them are still on suspiciousobservers.org. The most important ones, of course, are in videos that we've made that are right here on YouTube. Any ideas what the solar flash effect on firearms and ammunition will be? Do we need to stock up on non-metallic weapons? If you can pull that off, I would say go ahead and do it. I can't sit here and guarantee you that gun pieces are going to melt or that ammunition is going to be triggered and start going off like popcorn, but I can't tell you that's not what's going to happen in the solar micronova either. Very, very possible. So maybe you underestimate German ingenuity. Okay. Thank you, Mac. Appreciate it. What would be the safest place in the Middle East? I don't know. Somewhere where you're not going to get killed by another person in the next 20 years. Thank you, B. Bruce. What do I think about Tularosa or Alamogordo, New Mexico? A lot of places in New Mexico are going to be okay. You want to be up high, that's for sure. You want to make sure that, and even the weather after this, Mexico should be fantastic. The sun takes out power next week. Not exactly great growing region there. But nothing is perfect in a situation like this. So if you think you can handle what the land has to throw at you, the sun has a magnetic reversal every 11 years. Why isn't the Earth triggered at the same time? Yes, different process. It's not the sun doing this to Earth. It's the galactic current sheet. Oh, and a plasma electric sphere like the sun is going to act differently than a rocky planet like Earth. Will the solar micronova change the nervous system? Very possibly. I don't know exactly how. I know that the magnetic pole shift and increased cosmic rays are causing people's nervous system, their behavior, their emotions to go completely ape nuts right now. Planet is getting ready to tear itself apart. Act accordingly. Governments know reforming authoritarian society by 2030. Sure looks like they're trying, doesn't it? Sure looks like they're trying. What about batteries and wiring in our homes? Will the batteries explode? Maybe. I'm 125 meters above Lake Ontario, 200 meters above sea level, hilly area with lots of low-lying areas around us. Is it good? The answer is maybe. Wiring could catch things on fire, especially at your geomagnetic latitude. Just think about the Carrington event. I don't think you have as much to worry about in terms of water as you do cold and, well, let's just say the area around Lake Ontario is not exactly what I'd call sparsely populated. DC asked, following your progress for years, always grateful for the work you do. Thank you very much. You're greatly appreciated as well. Hello again, Levon. If guns are melting, then we are toast. If bullets are popping, then a body wouldn't make it. Incorrect. Pure metal is far more vulnerable to electric induction. And our bodies have an energy field helped created by our chakras, which is one of the reasons why it's good to be healthy and have a positive mental attitude. It's good to meditate and other things like that. I don't just say this stuff to be a woo-woo guy. There's a good reason for this. There's a reason to heal your traumas. There's a reason to stand in the light if you can. There's a reason to not eat like you are a trash dumpster. Your body has an energy field. Power it up. 30 miles southeast of San Francisco between two fault lines. Yeah, don't live there. Don't exactly pack up everything and uproot your life if that's going to make your life even harder right now. But anyway, Fukushima knocked our axis by 9 degrees. No. 2. Only heard about it once after it happened. What happened when that shift happened overnight? I felt like it went from northwest Montana to where Salt Lake City used to be geographically weather-wise. Yeah, okay, so first of all, actually, I misspoke. It was 1.5 degrees, and it was actually tilting us back. The 2010 Chile earthquake knocked us 2 degrees this way, and we came back 1.5 in the Fukushima event. So we're actually a little closer to where we started. Not sure where you heard 9 degrees, but that is inaccurate. Elizabeth says, is the Paradise, California fire an example of what would happen during the micronova where everything metallic burns and melts? Plastic trash cans remained untouched. Metal turned to ash, melted. I actually don't know about those specifics, but yeah, that kind of sounds like something. I think plastic trash cans are better than a Faraday cage in something like this. And I've had people say, but wait, Ben, they can't stop electromagnetic waves from going through them. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to stop electric current. Tell me, do they wrap wires in metal or do they wrap wires in plastic? So wearing an old army helmet and aluminum foil around your neck isn't a good idea. No, it's not. Snoopy, holy cow, thank you. Says you've done a great job answering these questions via your site and videos for years. I don't have a good question at the moment. It's okay. You don't need to. So just have my thanks. Much appreciated, and wish you and yours the best of luck when the time comes, man. And big one right back at you. Thank you, Snoopy. Melanie says, will you be showing us how you build your ranch? No. I might show you some things once it's built. But in terms of how it's built, you don't want me showing you how to build anything. I'm not out there with a shovel. I know some very, very proficient professionals who are doing most of that stuff for me. And don't forget, I expect the ranch for years and years to be a public RV campground and education center before it is our shiz hits the fan bug out area. Will we see a bunch of gold coming to the surface? Yeah, and a bunch of other precious metals too. If you know anything about volcanic porphyries, specifically the ones where they find silver and gold and other things like that, yeah, the answer to that is yes. And if you ask that question about gold coming to the surface, I'm guessing you're kind of on that topic to begin with. If you don't know the term volcanic porphyry, those are going to be quite prolific. Some interesting P words that just came out of my face there. Can the unlocking of the crust happen without the micronova? Maybe in a super flare, maybe. It's that tremendous induction that's going to cause it. And so maybe. Kauai. Is that in Hawaii? Yeah, I guess so, which is why you said mahalo. I wouldn't be so sure it's as old as they tell you it is, buddy. Why did I move from New Mexico to Colorado? Turns out there are 0 good school districts in the entire state of New Mexico unless you want to pay a lot of money for a private one. We are now in the top 10 school district in the country. And let's just say my daughter deserves that. So do my boys, although they'd probably be who they are anywhere. If any of you guys have ever met Kira, she's kind of special. Woohoo, bring on the gold. Yes, bring on the gold. Not sure what you're going to do with it when shiz hits the fan. Cody, you are correct. Even an M-class flare is thousands of times the mass of the Earth. Well, in the plasma, yes, but the size of the X-ray explosion is several Earths big, which is just a crazy thing to think about. What year was it when I quit my regular job? It was 2013 when we started the Mobile Observatory Project, and we drove around the United States and Canada to meet many of you. We got to meet a lot of you, spent way too much in our own money over budget, but I would say it was worth it. Oh, somebody says Los Alamos School District is great. I'm not exactly sure I would have been welcome there, but yeah, you're probably not too terribly wrong about that. Too bad the cheapest house that I think I ever saw there was like $500,000. Is the Solar Radiation Management Initiative a thing? Yes, unfortunately, although not to the extent you hear about on the internet. You get people on the internet looking at every contrail or soupy skies or contrail patterns that look more intense than they did a couple decades ago and just being like, chemtrail, chemtrail, chemtrail. No. Yes, it is a real thing. Yes, it is ongoing, but the internet is very, very bad at this. Very bad at this. So I can buy an RV and move to your place. Cool. Yeah, well, if that's what you want to do, I would send me an email before the spots all disappear. Is this about the event on the 5th? Somebody wasn't here at the start of the phone call. What is going to happen on the 5th? What do they say is going to happen, or do they just say something is going to happen on the 5th? Because I've heard this date, something big is going to happen. I've heard some Russian scientist said this 1,000 times. Guess how many times it's happened? 0. No, I don't think anything's going to happen on the 5th. Not until the sun shows me otherwise. I guess places in Europe that have earthquakes won't be very safe, right? Like Italy. No, Italy scares me. Yeah, I know about that guy's channel. He trolls me, Tom. And he steals other people's science without giving them credit. I won't even mention his name here. But Italy scares me not only because of the earthquakes, not only because of the population density, but because Campi Flegrei is going to be one of the scariest aspects of this entire disaster. Probably will take out a great bit of Italy when it goes off. It'd be a good idea to build a cob house made out of mud, straw, and sand. Maybe. Better build it pretty strongly. While I'm on this topic, I'm a huge fan of hempcrete and aircrete over steel reinforced concrete, by the way. For structures and prepping, check out David the Good and Deep South Homestead on YouTube. They will teach skills that need to live sustainably. Sounds like a good recommendation. Somebody asked me, where was Atlantis originally located? Will you accept the answer from the Northern Atlantic down to Antarctica? I think it was a sprawling empire. Pen, might I have a favorite color? No, I don't actually. Now that's a name right there, Legless Turtle. Asking for everyone in chat to know, what are your credentials, degrees, etc., to be so knowledgeable and passionate about all of this? I have several degrees, but to be honest, my law degree was far more valuable for what I do than my studies in physics and meteorology at Penn State. They tried to cram complete nonsense down my head that I've had to completely relearn since then. Law school is one of the last places in the world that teaches you how to think, which is very important, not just regurgitate information. My time as a due diligence lead for a venture capital firm taught me to combine economics, law, and subject matter expertise in whatever we were doing. And what they called portfolio diversification, I saw as a lack of focus that caused me to master a new thing every other week. In terms of modern day credentials, I have a couple of peer-reviewed papers. The best one is the official discovery of how the sun triggers megaquakes. My co-authors are from the stats department of Ohio State, although now he works at Duke, and a former engineer from NASA. And my textbook is used in several universities. All of those things far more important than nonsense from undergraduate days at a university. Waves and water should be littered with boat crushing debris. Yep. Any thoughts on survivable flotation? Large log rafts? I don't know. That's a good one. I recommend you get creative. Anything from putting tires on the outside of your boat to, I mean, you guys would probably be much better at that than anything else. Sir Locke Nomis says, I'm from Gloucester. I hope that's how you're saying it. Funnel point of Bristol Channel, so not good when the waves hit. I agree. Would the Brecon Beacon, South Wales be the nearest safe place, or would I need to go up to Scotland? Man, the entire island just scares me. Unless the land rises up, it's going to be absolutely beaten by the waves. Really. A lot of populated areas. It's just not that big. The population can get to you wherever you are. It is. Question, will the crust stop moving abruptly or rather slowly? Neither. It will not stop moving. If I can go back to that other question about credentials, in addition to learning how to think and learning how to be an interdisciplinary researcher, the two most important skills I have are I'm a speed reader and I have a mild form of hyperthymesia, which I have mentioned several times. Someone says Wales isn't that populated. Nope, but the ocean's going to populate it when the crust tilts like that. For those who don't know what hyperthymesia is, the people who have the extreme version can remember even tiny details, little tiny details about things in their life that happened years and years and years ago, like what the 45th word was in the 17th book they read after they turned 8, and also what time of day it was, what kind of weather it was, where they were, what they were wearing that day, etc. I have the mild version, which means anything that is appreciably interesting or impactful on my psyche, I remember to that same degree. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that very much. Curious my thoughts on Doug Vogt's theories. You can hear a lot of that in the playlist, but basically correct that the sun has a nova level event. I do not like where he says to move. I do not like what he thinks is going to happen to the crust. I do not like how he says people survived the last one and how we should survive this one. Anyway, somebody says Bill Gates is flipping the earth with a big magnet. No, he's not. What was that question? Yeah. Doug Vogt's got the Nova aspect right. In my opinion, he's wrong about a lot of the other things, including the most important things for our survival. In the UK, yes, you should plan on getting a boat. Somebody says they're going to survive in a life pod. Not if a tree hits you. Somebody just asked, when is this going to happen? It's funny. Somebody's asking about Northern Africa. There probably are places in Northern Africa that are going to be okay, especially since it's one of the axis points of the tilt. Northeast Africa is anyway. Canadian stacker, I get that all the time. It's annoying, isn't it? No, Timothy. I like when people are like, why am I blocked? As they're literally typing things I can see right here. Or as if I have time to actually block people in this thing. I haven't blocked any of the trolls that are here, by the way. There's been quite a few. Shelley, what do you anticipate the Great Lakes will do? Slosh. First northward, then southward. Worth considering. Heavy metal hair salon. Ben, please take a look. I think it truly is. I don't know what you're talking about. What is truly a weapon? Somebody's saying, Ben, are you familiar with the secret space program? They predict 10 years for the event. One, no, they don't predict anything. And two, the secret space program had several catastrophic failures. When it comes to space and other things like that, I see two things that are wronger than anything else. One, that we are actually out already exploring the cosmos and that we are stuck on this planet. Neither one is true. Bobby, the 40-degree mark of the North Pole is not due in March. It is not. It's completely false information. Were you listening at the start of this show? Watch my video called 40-degree nonsense. It is about that fraud Mav. There's a reason why he wasn't right the last 10 times he did this over the last decade. There's a reason why his channel was reloaded, because everybody realized he was a con artist. He had to shut that channel down and make it again. No, no, no. Regained my freaking cool here. Somebody asking me again, do I know Jason Archaix or Archaix? What? Who's allergic to a video playlist? Like, who watches this and they're like, oh, I got hives. I got to stop watching this. Come on. I'd be interested in hearing more of your spiritual awakening. Yeah, that's a topic, isn't it? It's about standing in the light, seeing the best in things, even if things aren't perfect. Like somebody just commented about Sadhguru said massive solar energies are coming. That's nice of Sadhguru to say that, but I don't trust the Sadhguru has any idea what he's talking about when it comes to the sun. Like zero. Although maybe that's why he wears those goggles. Maybe we'll give him that. Yeah, it's mostly about standing in the light when it comes to that stuff. Doing my best, although as you can see, I will still rag on people, and I will always be the harsh professor version of this when it comes to people not doing their homework. Somebody says you are very clever. As Wayne's World said, we are not worthy. Of course you are. If you weren't worthy, I wouldn't be doing this. I would just literally prepare me and my family and leave you guys to good luck. No. Ben, where do you announce you're going to do one of these? I keep missing them unless I stumble on it by accident. So this is the third live stream. I only announced the second one. I didn't know I was going to get to do this one, but my wife agreed to take the kids out. I don't actually know what she's doing, but she's with all three kids at the moment. Gave me some time to do stuff, and I was like, live stream. So here I am. Yes, a change of heart. You are correct. They should go watch the playlist. Yes, thank you, wifey, for doing that. Yes, more likes, everybody. Thank you. Yes, in 2023, we'll be a little bit closer to solar maximum. I'd expect it to happen towards the end of this year and go to about 2025 or 2026. How do I think East Indiana will do? Hope you got something that floats and you're not near a populated area. I remember correctly, it gets pretty cold during these cold waves in eastern Indiana, doesn't it? I think so. Rose says, will your ranch have medical personnel and supplies? I want to come, but disabled with medical condition and a senior at that. I won't go into everything we have, but it's not like we're going to have an ER and like a hospital on site. If you need a lot of help, might be challenging. Just if I can be honest with you, Rose, might be challenging. Marcus, hey Ben, how will Northern Nevada pan out? Maybe okay. Good place for the long haul? Maybe, specifically eastern side of the Sierras. There, it's going to be about, can you handle cold when it comes? Can you handle drought when it comes? And I'm presuming looks like you wouldn't be in the hugely populated area. There's a lot of places in the Rockies where if you can handle cold, you can stock supplies and you're not near too many people. I'm going to tell you, not a bad plan. You are welcome, Gilbertson. What's with everybody from Ohio? Never seen so many people from Ohio. Lorraine, yes, I've talked to David Wilcock. I think he's just okay. I think he blows with the breeze a little too much. Other than that, I don't have a ton against the guy. Some of you guys are pretty funny. Joe Potter, I don't know. Your mom seems to like it, so. Yes, he did go nuts, DH Godzilla. I know who you're talking about, so I'm just going to say yes. Blue Gorilla, how much of the West Coast will end up underwater? It's a good question. In terms of big waves from the Pacific, earthquakes and volcanoes, much of the West Coast scares me a lot. Ooh, Kat Bierling says, hi, Ben. Happy New Year. Same to you. My question is, will methane be released during the Earth slippage? The answer is yes, but it just doesn't matter. My sister and I have prepared as much as possible, thanks to you and others. From Margate, England. I'm not very scared of methane. I'm not very scared of methane at all. We've had far greater releases than what's going to happen this round on this planet. Far higher methane content on the planet than what's coming, and it didn't kill everything in the world then. It's not going to do it again now. The way to survive the cold is the Wim Hof method. Wow, haven't heard that one in a while. Haven't thought about that in a while. I am a fan of the Wim Hof method from what I read of it, but Mr. Bread and Circus has been 100% of my clients have been grinding and clenching teeth while asleep. Is it due to solar radiation? No, it is due to the planet getting weirder and life getting more challenging. And a little bit on the changing magnetic field and cosmic radiation impact on the psyche. That's mostly on the locus coeruleus and its involvement with anxiety, panic, and terror. Yeah, that's a real thing we're dealing with too. That's fun. Blue Gorilla, I answered you, bro. Ryan McNamara, yes, there will be a massive migratory animal die-off. We're already seeing the starts of that, unfortunately. Terrell Samuel, start this video over again and watch it from the beginning. Somebody just asked me, what about Europe? What do you mean, what about Europe? Is there like an actual question there? Bob Roberts, So you want more specifics about Doug Vogt? No, the planet does not stop and go back the other way. Not to mention that if it did that, you wouldn't be able to get the tropical polar layers of fossils in the current polar regions. The planet has to turn over like this. Not to mention that having the planet go like this and then get a tilt this way while it's still spinning doesn't violate physics, while that absolutely does. Makes no sense. I don't want to sit here and bash Doug Vogt. I like the guy. If you keep asking, I'm going to keep telling you. Hello again, Levon. I think you win today. I heard that in a major emergency, prison guards are trained to kill all inmates so they're not back out on the streets. Do you know if it's true? Some cases that's going to be the case. If there is a loss of power, they are definitely set up to lock shut. Not like you take the power off and all the gates come open. Most of them, if they're not killed by the guards, will be trapped in there forever. It's one of the reasons why I wouldn't say it's fantastic to live by a prison, but that's not something you gotta worry about in general. Hello, Tiffany. I'm looking forward to meeting people at the Nashville event. I have no one local to discuss this with. You will after that event for sure. I can't wait till we get some more information on this Blitz tour we're doing next year. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see a lot of you out there. Think I'll still get my Chewy orders? Man, I hope so. For the sake of my family, I hope we'll still get our Orgain orders. Yeah, that's delicious if you haven't tried that, by the way. Dr. Rob Allen, yes, lots of heart problems. If you are actually a medical doctor and you talk to people and like you have cardiac patients, send me an email and I will send you the relevant portions of chapter 6 of my textbook, where I compiled all of the peer-reviewed literature on that. Pacific follow Colorado River Channel inland. Probably not that far, no. Good question, though, Dwayne. And if you live on the Colorado River, I can understand why you'd ask that. But the answer is probably not. Hello again, Uncommon News. The Bible talks about ferocious beasts and bugs ravaging men during the apocalypse. Any mechanism for genetic mutations or maybe CRISPR hybrids? Lots of mutations from radiation and from magnetic reorientation. In terms of CRISPR, if you mean like humans screwing around, God, I hope not. Got enough problems. From what main factors and facts are you deriving the timing of the micronova? It's pretty clear that the magnetic reversal of the Earth and the micronova happened pretty much at the same time, and it's based on the math that we've got for how the Earth's magnetic field is changing and the expected accelerations which come at the geomagnetic jerks, which are also at regular intervals. I go over that a bit more in the book and some of the videos in the playlist, but that's why I can't give you a date or an exact year, because based on how much of those accelerations it is. I mean, if we get super accelerations, it's 2030s. If it happens like it's been happening, it's late 2040s. So SS says government fake climate action is 2030 society control. Yep. What they've got coming with in the name of climate change is going to make what they did with COVID look like a walk in the park. Big ups to everyone who still has their DNA intact, by the way. And I don't want to see anybody saying it's an RNA vaccine. Do you know what RNA does? Hi, Ben. What effects will happen in the catastrophe on the east coast of Australia? Will an elevation above 500 meters be enough? Maybe. If Taupo goes off, that entire area is going to be in trouble. Is the eastern part of Australia the one that's got a lot of population? I think so. And you don't want to be on the coast. And there can't be somewhere 500 meters above sea level on the actual coast. I presume you mean it's back a bit, or I guess as you're looking back a bit. Australia is scary for several reasons. I mean, that one's a real maybe. The area in between, around Oceania, New Zealand, that's one of the areas I think has a chance to come up which would be good in general. But also, when it does come up, it's going to throw the water onto Australia. And that's kind of scary, if I may. David says, thanks for your great work and patience. I follow you from Switzerland, which I think is a safe place. Maybe handle the cold. Make sure you handle the cold. Don't be in a too populated of an area. Make sure you stock supplies, and you got a chance. Happy New Year, Ben. I have 2 area-specific questions. How will we do in Calgary, Canada, and how will our family do in South Africa? Well, Calgary, if you mean like the city, there's too many people. You don't want to be in a big city. Make sure you can deal with the cold with no power. Make sure you're stocked up on supplies. And again, get away from those folks if you can. South Africa is going to get hit by tsunamis from the south. And I think that there's a chance for other things to happen beyond just where the East African rift is right now. I do believe it's going to extend north and south. Make sure they're not in a too terribly populated portion of South Africa. Like on the far outskirts of Durban beats downtown Joburg, if you got me. Will a Faraday cage melt in the event? In the micronova, maybe. What material and thickness should be used? I'm not using a Faraday cage. I'm putting things in plastic tubs and plastic bins. Not only do I have more faith in plastic, those are easier to get / build than a Faraday cage. Any thoughts on CBDC and how the planned rollout may affect preparations? I don't know what CBDC is. I have no idea what that is. Central bank digital currency. Oof. Yeah. They are doing this so that things can easily be taken offline if need be. Angela Winter, watch the playlist. I addressed Yellowstone like 6 times. It's broken. It's not a problem. Chill, girl. Yes, greetings to Switzerland from you as well. But yeah, this digitalization of everything is not good. They're going to be able to control things much more. And when the sun takes out power, everything goes to zero. Like cryptocurrencies. If you didn't figure out cryptocurrencies are a bad idea by now, I don't know what to tell you. Maggie, I hope you're right. I hope digital currencies are going away, as in they never come in the first place. That would be nice. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Will Keith Richards survive? That's a good one. Is it possible they never found tools for the ancient monuments because the metal all melted and potentially remined? Yeah, it's possible. I believe that there were far, far more advanced civilizations in the past than we have. And the stone monoliths tell us that. But none of their metal survived, did it? Then again, in 12,000 years, it's possible it all just could have rusted away. But I think it's possible there's that other explanation that it melted. Good question. Stormy, yeah, every other month it's Yellowstone this, Yellowstone that. If we could just get Mary Greeley to stop saying the animals are fleeing during the seasonal migrations, I think maybe that would mitigate that a little bit. But God bless her heart. Is it possible that... Oh, wait, I got that one already. Gold survived in Egyptian tombs. Yeah, but the pyramids also create their own electric field, somewhat equivalent to the electric fields to which they are exposed. If you find a way to get inside of the Great Pyramid for the disaster, good job. Oh my goodness. Is your username Epstein didn't kill himself? Wow. No, he certainly did not. What are my thoughts on Klaus Schwab? He asks. Ugh. You will eat bugs and be happy. You will own nothing and be happy. Listen to what I say and be happy. That's what I think of Klaus Schwab. Although, here's the other thing. Klaus Schwab, not in charge. Soros, not in charge. The Rothschilds, not in charge. If we hear their names, chances are they're not the top level of the elites. The only of them I think we know the name of is Queen Beatrix. We don't know anybody else at her table, not at that level. We know a lot of the fall guys. We know a lot of the puppets that get put up on the TV. But I hope that's helpful. Josh, would you show the video of an astronaut spinning a T-bar in space as it changes rotation axis again? Long-time listener, very grateful for your work. That is in the disaster playlist. I could go find it, although I'm sure it'd be much easier for you to go find it before I could find it and put another video in it. It's called the Jenna Bekoff effect, the second axis theorem, the tennis racket theorem. Lots of ways to go find that. I don't think that quite applies to the Earth, although it is one more reason to look at the T inside of Earth and say, no, all the explanation for why Earth couldn't turn over, literally they're wrong in every single way. All you actually have to do is unlock the crust from the mantle, and it'll do the same thing. But kudos to you bringing up the Jenna Bekoff effect. Which should be the best drugs to do in space? Hallucinogens. Tryptamines. Obviously. Who is my top scientist? I don't know, man. Somebody I probably wouldn't want to mention here because I don't want them to get too much attention for being my favorite scientist. Right now, it's very, very helpful to have them in the position they are in and not have their entire department pissed off at them. Just throwing that out there. Oh, Tesla. Are we going with dead people too? Yes, the questions are getting out there, aren't they, Salty? Somebody wrote August Dunning. Yeah, he's up there high on the list, and he does not care, does he? He's also no longer at NASA, no longer at Caltech. But yeah, Dr. Dunning's high up on the list, obviously. What do I think about Maine? I don't think you're going to get away from the water. If you do, hope you can survive the cold with no electricity. Hope the people don't come your way. When am I going to be on Tucker Carlson? Whenever he invites me. Pay for the plane ticket myself. Thoughts on Sasquatch? I don't know. Could be real. Will I be inviting Michaela Peterson to be your Valley of the Sun trauma therapist? That's not a bad idea, considering that her dad doesn't answer my questions. Have you listened to Michaela? She's not bad, actually. That's not just like a nepotism thing. Like she's got some skills in that one. Do I hear from public school science teachers privately? Yes, all the time. What should be done about digital IDs? Avoided as much as humanly possible. There may come a time when they don't let us do it. Don't forget, we all walk around with something like this in our pockets. Basically already have tracking devices and digital IDs, things like that. Epstein didn't kill himself, I agree. Hello again, Levon. You definitely win today. We need a spiritual dating app. Can I make one? No. I don't write code. Summer Mills, have I sniffed any little girl's hair? That's a funny Joe Biden question. I can't think of a funny response other than obviously no. Are you planning on hosting any talks events in Canada anytime soon? Honestly, no. Thomas Ross here. How is the Big Burb coming along? Very, very slowly. For those who don't know, we had to wait like 2 months for this one part. It got here. We lost our spot in the shop, waited another month and a half, and then we put the thing in finally about a month ago and it didn't work. So we sent it back to the manufacturer and are waiting for it to come back. It's one of the most important aspects, the thing that's going to let us basically take out the battery and start it anyway. Did somebody just ask me my thoughts on Graham Hancock's Ancient Apocalypse? Rewind this video, go back to the beginning. Josh, what's your thoughts on personal safety after the disaster? I'm thinking about aggressive survivors, like ones that their guns work. If their guns will work, so will yours, by the way. It's not going to be, please host Valentina Zarkova. All right, you know what? I'm going to stop this right here. No. Valentina Zarkova should have listened to me in our tons of email exchanges over the past several years when I told her, please stop telling people that this is going to be a grand solar minimum this cycle. It's not. It's going to be the same or even stronger than the last cycle. She refused to listen. She refused to look at solar polar fields and prefers math on paper rather than actually looking at the signs on the sun. And then Valentina Zarkova, when this sunspot cycle turned out to not be a dud and not be grand solar minimum, and I pointed that out, she decided she was going to troll me in that article. So no, I will not be inviting Valentina Zarkova. Do I know Joe Bastardi since we both went to Penn State? No, I don't know Joe Bastardi. And I transferred from Penn State after an intellectual tiff with Michael Mann, which he seems to have remembered since he blocked me so quickly on Twitter. Helen, I hope so. That'd be nice. What are my thoughts to survive in the center of Mexico? If you already live there and you're already doing it, okay. If you're a gringo looking to go down there, no, don't try that. Not unless you can morph into a jaguar on command. How's that for an answer? Ben, bringing up Gate of the Gods. Boy, I'd love to know more about that. So far, I've heard a lot of speculation, a lot of really cool ideas. Then again, Nibiru is a cool idea that's absolutely wrong. Tough to say. Daniel says, I've noticed on average the solar wind is a bit slower than past solar peaks. You are correct. Thoughts on whether this is a sign of the current sheet? Very possible. In fact, I also think it's possible that the high number of sunspots we've had and the lower number of solar flares and powerful CMEs could be a sign of it as well. It's good observing, by the way. Spaz, did you really just ask about the Big Burb project status when I literally talked about that like 4 minutes ago? It's hard enough to get people to watch the playlist. I don't want to be answering the same questions at different points in the same video. The sun is a Stargate. My thoughts. No. And it's not like I'm just hearing that for the first time right here and I'm just dismissing it. I've heard it. I've looked into it. Enos, can the galactic current sheet cause stars to flicker many colors? I don't know, but stars You know a star is a star up there because it flickers many colors. If it's just one solid white color or yellow color or red color, it's one of the planets in our solar system. If it's flashing and flickering colors, it's a star outside of our solar system. That's one of the ways you know. What was that question? There you are. Ben, how will London, England fare? People are going to eat each other. It's my short answer to that question. The Thames will rise, be flooded out. Power is going to go out because of the population density and electric density, and then people are going to eat each other. Do not be in a big city. End of story. Does anybody know how long I've been on this thing? Time just... It's going fast. Man, it would be so cool if I could actually answer every single question that comes in. Yeah, we went to the moon, Francis. All right, until we get another super chat, I'll explain this one. First, we did not go directly through the Van Allen belts. We went through the edge of the Van Allen belts. Two, they went up there to go find evidence of the solar micronova, which they found. Three, back then, Russia was trying to steal everything we were doing in space, like literally everything we were doing in space. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that stuff came back, came back as not real in terms of what they told us. So, for example, all you have to do is wrap the wires or the pipes or any other number of things helically around the fuselage, and you turn it into a Tesla coil that creates its own protective energy field, exactly equivalent to the radiation incident on the craft, in which case you can go through any part of the radiation belts and it won't matter. Yes, we went to the moon. Happy New Year, Ben. How can Australians reach other Australians for survival purposes, not dating? Please and thank you. The way I've seen people do this is get on Facebook, comment on the daily videos. Sometimes it's going to take doing this a couple of days in a row, being like, I am from here. Any other observers from here? Doesn't work on YouTube because even if you catch somebody, it's not like you get their email address. It's not like you can just send them a private message. That does work on Facebook. And I've seen several people in parts of the world just sort of spam that every day on Facebook, on the Facebook post, which I don't mind at all. You're probably going to find somebody in not too long from your area, and you can start a network that way. Why did the moon ring like a bell when they landed? First of all, I don't know for a fact that actually happened, but if it did happen, it could be because there's parts of it that are hollow. Metal and teeth scare me too, Laura. Can we find a better description than the solar wind? No, and that is the perfect description for what that photon outflow actually is. I can't even imagine what a better description would be. Rog Swagger, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Randall, rewind. Go back to listen to the part of the video where I talked about Northern Idaho. How short will the days and years get? Oof, that's a good question. I don't know. Definitely shorter than they are now. Odin, that's funny. All right, Rick. Rick Stidger. What am I lying about? You can't just type liar. Nobody knows what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. What am I lying about? Clown. How do I think northern Montana on the eastern Rocky Front will fare? Okay. If you're not too close to a lot of people, if you've got a lot of things stocked, and if you can handle several years' winters with no power in Montana, like this thing that just hit us in the United States, this cold wave, if you could handle one or two of those a year for a decade with no power, I give you a thumbs up in your location. That clown Rick ever answer? Liar. Audra, no, you go to my personal page. Ben Davidson. It's the guy who looks like me. Those get more engagement than anything else. Stormy, I like that answer. That's freaking hilarious. Australia will still be temperate. Yes, it will. It's going to go through some tribulations, so to speak, before it gets there, though. Treblet 99. A lot of that stuff is in the books and the Earth disaster playlist. It would take a long time to go through the evidence and the specifics of the galactic current sheet character here. But that information is out there if you want to go look for it. Legion Technologies. How long do I think the planet will take to warm back up? Besides, how cold do you think interior Alaska will do? So Alaska's got the same issue of cold before the flip over. If you can handle it with no power, good on you. The planet's going to come back pretty quickly. Within weeks to maybe a year. Yeah, I do think that the Earth is going to come back. Did somebody else just ask me about Doug Vogt's work? Where were you at the start of this video? If you weren't here at the start and you didn't go back and rewatch, stop asking questions. I say that kind of lightly and also kind of not lightly. You can't show up to a class anywhere in the world halfway through the class and then start asking the professor what they went over at the start of class. Or I guess what? Why don't you try it? Why don't you try doing that and see how well that works for you? I just saw it briefly. How does this information make me feel when I think of the gravity of it all? Not cool. Not cool, Earth. Not cool, sun. Things like that. What will the sky heavens look like before and after? Watch the playlist. Some of you guys are pretty funny. Thank you, Jules. I think it's fun to be salty every once in a while. Have I ever seen the Great Awakening map? No. No, it sounds interesting, though. Ben, have I warned my children? They are 7, 5, and 2. So, no. Well, plenty of times for that discussion. Aw, Heavy Metal Hair Salon. You think this is sad to watch? Who is there holding your arms behind your back, making you watch this then? If this is sad to watch, go away. Plenty of people here getting something out of this. I'm getting my salty out. I kind of like it. Pick 3 Lotto comment. I saw that whiz by the screen there for a moment. That's funny. John Mallory, you're awesome. Thank you. New Mexico, maybe safe. I'll answer that one again. Adam, no, you are not wrong for wanting the reset to get here already. Somebody asked me what I think of the Deagle report, and the answer, sadly, is not too much. By the way, thank you, Roos. The Deagle report said everything they say is coming, but they said it in 2011 and in 2014. It's basically the same story as with Maverick Star Reloaded. They say these things are going to happen, and they just keep bumping the time back. XRO, yes, I am wearing pants. Jeez, buddy. That's funny, though. That's funny. All right, fine, Stormy. I'm making you a mod. You guys are in trouble now. Stormy's a mod. John Mallory's been real nice to you guys. I don't even think Adrian from Suspect Sky is here right now, or else he'd get a bunch of you. Just sent a response on Getter. So Getter, I post the morning news there, but I don't really on your feet. She is not a Karen. I feel very confident saying that. Any thoughts on older technologies and their usefulness after the coming excursion? Steam, wood gas, ramp pumps, biogas, digestion, etc. Steam, I'm a big fan of steam, especially if you can pull it off. Old school wind and water mills, yep. If you can pull it off, absolutely. Truther, why do you give people so much hope? Because I freaking believe in a lot of you. Not all of you. Don't get me wrong. But I believe in a lot of you. I believe we do choose when we come to this plane, and knowing that there are things for us to learn, things for us to deal with, other things like that. I believe many of you came here right now to be a part of the cosmic disaster, the cosmic Super Bowl. Thank you, Roos. Appreciate that. And I believe in a lot of you guys. Somebody just asked me how best to prepare in Israel. I think you guys are going to have a lot more to deal with before the disaster comes. That for you, as much as anybody else, it's worth paying attention to geopolitical stuff as much as everything else. Stock some extra food if you can, extra water if you can. I don't know if you guys are allowed to own guns there, but may take a little more than some Krav Maga. Get you through what's coming. Does that help? Wood gas build on my channel. Who are you? Gordon. Gordon Oog. Ooghe. I'm just going to click your name. Oh, I can't click your name from here. That's right. Anyway. Thoughts on Eastern Kentucky? Hope you got something that floats. Hope you're not near too many people. I don't have a lot great to say about the eastern part of the country in general. I do think the Appalachians are not going to be enough to stop the Atlantic's intrusion. I do think a lot of people will be able to just float away. And again, you're probably floating away without your supplies to a place you don't know. I'm not going to say nobody's going to survive that way. In fact, I think a lot of people are going to survive that way. It's just, if you can bug in, your castle is better than bugging out, if you can do it. Joyce, is there a question you would love for someone to ask that has not been asked? If I could think of it, I would just say it in a video and answer the question anyway. Chad, what do I mean float away? Watch the playlist. Not sure. Yeah, it does have to get pretty cold to flash freeze a mammoth. In fact, a lot colder than it would be just tossing it out into space. See my videos on plasma cooling. That's how I think it happens. Learn to swim. Can I please say something about Ireland? Ireland scares me. No. Curtis, you're just screwing with me now, asking how the big bird is doing. How the big burb is doing. You're just screwing with me now, but I think it's funny. Yes, plasma cooling. It's in the disaster playlist. Yes, it is. Get good with the leprechauns. If I knew any, yeah. Actually, what would be the first sign of this event? Oh, I don't know. Like everything that's happened over the past several years, and to a lesser degree, the progression of the magnetic field the last 150 years. Any benefit to lining entire underground shelter in my place with Mylar? Maybe. I don't know what Mylar is going to do during an electric induction. You certainly don't want lightning bolts going through your underground hideout while you're in there, that's for sure. And there's other things you can use if you're looking for thermal protection. Thoughts on Western Oklahoma Panhandle area? Underwater. It's going underwater. In all likelihood, anyway. That, and the weather's going to get worse and worse there as we lead up to this. The jet stream's changing. Put it this way, it's better than being in Houston. Pale horse. And its name set on it was death. And hell followed with it. What year would cause me to halt travel? Couldn't put a year on it, but watching the magnetic field should probably tell them when to stop travel. Trying to find video on how the main event seems to hit different parts of the planet each cycle. I don't know exactly which one that is. I go over that a lot more in relation to, if you pull up that paper by James Channel and Vigliotti from 2019 about how many extinctions come along with these geomagnetic excursions. They've got several charts, and they really tell you which parts of the world got hit worse at each of the cycles looking back through time. And you can do a lot of deductive logic that way. In fact, finding that paper would probably be faster than trying to find it in the playlist. All right, Scott. Don't you think it's better probability the mammoth drowned and not froze? No, because if it just drowned, the chemistry in its stomach and even the chemistry in its mouth would have continued to digest the food. They found flash frozen stuff in its mouth and in its stomach. There's no way that stuff would have survived even just a couple hours if it was just about being frozen. Is it possible it was inundated with icy water and the mammoth swallowed a stomach full of icy water? In theory, I guess that's possible, but even still, it's going to be hard to get something of that size, that cold, that fast, so that things don't start to rot or get digested. Don't forget, the sled dogs ate the meat of the mammoths. So, and given the plasma events that are going to happen during this solar micronova and the arc discharge, I don't understand how we get out of this without a rapid plasma cooling freeze. Be hard for me to actually see us getting away without that scenario. Legit question though, Scott. I like it. 55 Big Cheese, thank you. Oh, where'd you go? Come back. There you are. Haywood asks, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? 7. Also, does Sally sell seashells by the seashore? Okay. Appreciate you anyway, buddy. It's very funny. Have I been working on my wilderness survival skills? as much as I can while doing this for you guys every day. Yeah. The people ate the meat of the mammoths too. That's right. I did see that. All right. Stephanus asks, Hi, Ben. In my understanding, it is the Earth's magnetic field that keeps the atmosphere in check. Not exactly. So the protecting field is weakened. Shouldn't we lose some parts of our atmosphere to space? I don't think that will happen. Do I understand that right? We could lose parts of the upper atmosphere to space, but not to where the cold of space is going to come all the way down to the surface. Don't forget, we've still got the ionosphere and a very, very thick atmosphere at that. When Mars lost its magnetic field, it didn't turn into Mars in a day, put it that way. Thank you, Michael. Paul Brown, with New Zealand being right along the fault line and part of the Ring of Fire, would New Zealand survive when it comes to the flipping of the pole shift? I've said it a bunch of times. New Zealand's got a lot of trouble ahead of it in almost any way you look at it. Earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. There's so many things to make it challenging there. Not to mention the fact that I think in past disasters, it was elevated a lot more. I think you could have walked from New Zealand to Australia before, but is what it is. Please, Ben, why doesn't the Earth just roll? Also, I'm with you, buddy. Also, how big would the water rise be in Sydney? Tsunami-like mountains or just small flood? Neither. It's going to be like a fast rising high tide that doesn't stop all day. Is that a fair answer for you? Sydney's not going to do well. Put it that way. Thomas asks, if there are oil fields there, is it a bad place to be? Maybe, although I can't sit here and say standing over top of every oil field is obvious death. I don't know. Yeah, that's one more thing that's scary beneath your feet there, no doubt about it. But anyway. Ben, ever have any thoughts on Portugal? Yeah, the waves are going to pound it. Pound it. Goes for Spain too, so don't feel so bad. How would I preserve history of this event for future generations? If you can quickly chisel things into stone, go ahead and start doing that now. Otherwise, get somewhere that is not going to get hit by the water and try to preserve as many books as you can. And then teach the little ones, obviously. Thank you, Mark. What are my thoughts on human-induced earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes using drilling and geomagnetic energy? Not using geomagnetic energy. Fracking can usually go up to mid-4 range. Yeah, that's absolutely real. That happened in Youngstown, Ohio, and they broke a bunch of buildings there. But big stuff, no, they can't do that. We are still ants on this planet in many ways. Thoughts on how long until civilization restarts? I'd like to say it's not going to be thousands of years, but it might be thousands of years. It's unfortunate. But honestly, they were more advanced than we are now 12,000 years ago, and the whole world went back to zero. So maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe. Somebody says we are in the dark ages. ATB says, are you a Fed? Do I look like a Fed? What kind of question is that? Are you an alien reptile? All right. No, I don't believe in that guy. Don't even bother. You have no shot. Ben, and what of Middle Earth? Would you consider an expedition? What do you mean Middle Earth? You mean like inside of the planet? Let me say this real fast. Admiral Byrd, the time he claims he was in Antarctica going inside of the planet, it is unequivocally proven he was at the North Pole in Project Nanook with Major White. Not saying maybe he didn't change the dates or whatever, but we know there are a couple lies in that stuff by Admiral Byrd. So there's that. I wouldn't want to be inside of the Earth when this thing happens. Why does the Earth's rotation remain the same after the Earth tilts? It seems to me the rotation would be the same as the Earth's tilt. I disagree, especially if it's just the crust that unlocks from the mantle. Think about that one. I don't see, just like I don't see the planet stopping, going back the other way. I see the crust unlocking, Greenland and the part of Antarctica south of Australia coming to the point of greatest centrifugal force as the greatest mass distribution is wont to do. The induction stops, the electrochemical friction and equilibrium is refound at the low velocity zone, and it sticks, and it just goes right along with the mantle. Same way as it always has. Somebody just asked, how's it looking for Ireland? Not great. Not great. I don't know if your land is going to rise, if it's going to fall. How do you think you would do in Ireland if we took the power out from the country right now? And then you've got 10 years of that, no power. And then you've got major tsunamis. Put it this way, it's not the worst place in the world. I don't. Ireland is very scary. Look at somebody just commenting HARP. As if they didn't hear my explanation of it earlier in this video. At least spell it correctly. Come on. Clown. Why do I think that both poles are blacked out on Google Earth? They're not blacked out on Google Earth, nor are they blacked out on the JPSS satellite. Yes, you can go get satellite images that are updated every hour on the polar region. Are there any pole shift written books that correlates the Bible allegories to these events? Tons of them, including mine. Such as when you tie in the apocalyptic writings would be good for my family. Yeah, tons of them, including mine. I also tie in much more than just the Bible. There's lots of other religious and what you would call mythological stories that all basically are saying the same thing. Any safe place to buy land within a day's drive of Charlotte, North Carolina? I have no idea. A change of heart 77. I appreciate you very much. Somebody just types Velikovsky. 1, that's not a helpful comment. 2, if you watch the playlist, you would have seen Velikovsky a bunch of times, especially in the Earth disaster documentary. How will other planets be affected? Why? You living on one? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I think you've previously mentioned how star charts will still be usable on land post-crustal displacement. How well can those who float navigate? Does their plan rely on them not needing to? Yeah. Basically, if you manage to get floated, if you manage to float away, don't worry about steering. Just go and go. And then when the water stops and you start to go back the other way, get to land as fast as humanly possible, because the last place you want to end up after surviving a thing like that is out in the middle of the sea. It's somewhat unforgiving. But if you're lucky enough to get on something and survive, and float away, trust me where fate's going to take you. Just do your best. And don't be afraid. Sigma, I am stealing that in my regular life, and I'm not giving you credit. Every day is a gift. That's why we call it the present. On here, Sigma Sagittarius user will get their credit. But in my own personal life with people that I know, I'm just stealing that. Sorry. Where wouldn't get hit by water? Oh, I don't know, the New Valley of the Sun. Okay, here we are. Any tips for teaching your kids about this? Depends on how old they are. If they're too young, you shouldn't scare them. Then again, if they get just any older at all, they don't want to hear jack nothing from you. If your kids are in high school, college, or older, good chance they're not going to believe you. There is no leading this horse to water and hoping they drink. You got to stand by the lake, wait for a horse to show up, let it drink, and then let it look with you with curious eyes. There is no ramming this down anyone's throat. Those of you who have tried know that already. Over 200,000 over 2,400 watching and only 1,700 likes. Yes, don't forget to hit the like button. And yes, thank you to everyone for the super chats. Not only because they are super chats, but because it is actually helping me maintain focus and actually answer questions rather than just not saying anything to you and trying to scroll through all of this and read the comments. Thoughts on drilling atop fault lines, making cracks? I mean, yeah, that happens. It's not a good idea, but yeah, it happens. We've seen that trigger earthquakes as well. You're welcome, Mark. Charles Wagner says, Ben, you're a good man. Santa Fe, New Mexico, going to be a better place than Houston. Yeah. There's a lot of places in New Mexico that'll be pretty good. Obviously, you don't want to live downtown Santa Fe, but a lot of the area around there, really not so bad at all. Just again, it does get pretty cold there. Can you handle the cold? Can you handle population? Can you handle needing a lot of supplies before needing a lot of supplies, if you catch my drift? Wow, we've been doing this for 2 hours. Time goes so fast. 2012 movie was not filmed by time travelers. No, they got a lot wrong in that movie. A lot. The Himalayas safe? If you can survive right now in the Himalayas without power, yeah, sure. Just when the earth starts going like this, don't go down the Himalayas to see how everybody in the subcontinent is doing, because Ziwata is coming. Then you will eat the bugs. Ben, how do I think Brazil will fare in the South Atlantic? I think Brazil's going to freeze. I think it's going to freeze. Freeze might not last a terribly long time, but it's going to freeze. It's going to be brutal. That and the Atlantic's going to attack. A lot of the fallout from what will be massive volcanic upticks in the Andes and on the western part of South America will land throughout Brazil. Several years from now, that will act as fertilizer, but for the time being, will be scary. It's about all I got in me for today. This was fun. Plus, I have no idea when my wife is bringing the kids back, and I really would like to return the favor and watch the kids so she can get some stuff done. Yes, Rebecca, you must get moved from SoCal in due time. Anyway, guys, really appreciate it. I really do enjoy this. I enjoy all my interactions with observers, but Jens, I did publish a map. Stop it. Watch the playlist or get the book. One of those two things. Please just do one of those two things. Anyway, lots of stuff down there below the video. Click it. Find out. Again, there are still spots at Observer Ranch. Send me an email if you'd like to be a part of it, either one of the open spots or you're looking for the equity investment. You wouldn't mind being my business partner. I'm even more fun in person, promise. Anyway, see you in the morning for the daily show. Thank you again. Be safe, everyone.